From the top rope, this is the Squared Circus.
Square! Ah! That's the occult phenomenon.
You know what I think?
Recording in progress.
I realize I like paint.
That was a botch. Hold on.
So, anyway, that's how it's gonna go.
So recently, PWI had the whole list of top women's wrestlers, and Jade Cargill was number 5. And a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's a kayfabe list, so it's not really about like how good a wrestler the people are." Hold on, start it over.
That's good.
Recently, PWI put out the list of the top 10 female wrestlers.
No, wait, no, stop it.
No, you stop it.
As soon as you started going off, I'm like, no, this is going to be one of those stupid ass ones now. All right, go ahead, proceed.
Okay, get ready to get stupid. No, we're going to get stupid. So recently, there was that whole article with PWI top women's wrestlers. What is it?
Was it recently?
It was recently. Is that important?
Yes.
PWI listed the top 10 women's wrestlers. Number 5 was Jade Cargill. A lot of people argued about it. One of the things people were saying was it's a kayfabe list, so it's not really about their ability. It's about how they're booked. And Jade Cargill technically was booked to win a lot of matches. But it created a lot of argument, people complaining, people being just outright obnoxious about it. Jade Cargill doesn't deserve to be on it. What do you know, you stupid Mark? And anytime anybody had anything to say about it, they would get attacked, right?
And I
know where you're going. I know where you're going. I'm with you.
I'm so sorry. I need to get this out.
No, get it out. I was saving this for another one, but
Mark.
Yeah.
I hate the fucking word mark because everyone uses that constantly about every single goddamn thing. Oh, what do you know about this, Mark? Oh, what do you know about? First of all, we are fucking from old to young. We're watching wrestling. We all know it's scripted. We're not dumb. We know that it's scripted and it's whatever.
Right.
Everyone's a mark then. You watch it because you want to just escape reality or just be entertained. Yeah. Every fucking movie you're gonna say, oh, you're a Russell Crowe mark because you fucking like Gladiator. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It makes that word really pisses me off because they say it constantly about everything and it really pisses me off.
Gladiator. Sorry. That was the first movie that came to mind.
Russell Crowe. Yeah, because that's my favorite movie by Russell Crowe.
Is it really?
Yeah. So
man, you like Citizen Kane? You're a real Orson Welles mark, man.
But do you know what I'm saying? No, like, and
I know exactly what you're saying. It's fucking stupid. Either everybody's a mark or nobody's a mark, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the word means. They just use it to say something denigrating about somebody they don't agree with. If they don't agree with you, you're a mark.
Yes, that's all it is.
Nobody's a mark. And a mark, what it really means is somebody who's like a rube, who's being taken advantage of, right? It's a carny insider term. A mark could be anybody who's like taken advantage of in a scam. If it's 3-card Monty or if it's wrestling or whatever it is.
The wrestling term, they'll say that it's someone that believes that what they're watching is real. Right. First of all, I don't think any of us and of these internet sites thinks that it's real.
No.
We all know it's scripted.
But the idea, the whole mark thing is somebody that you could take advantage of. Somebody who thinks it's real from the Carney days 100 years ago where they could take your money. You're a mark. You're somebody who's ripe for the picking to be taken advantage of. That guy doesn't know it's fake. We're going to get his money because we're going to sell him this snake oil that in this case is wrestling. Snake oil being the metaphor for those who don't understand metaphors. It's a way to like grift people and take their money. So like nobody's a fucking mark. You don't know what that word means. Stop calling people marks. You're an idiot.
Why?
Okay.
Now, why is this goes kind of relates to what you were trying to say. Why is the internet people so much more rude or ready to attack than when you go to a live show. When you go to a live show, everyone's freaking friends with everyone. They don't sit
Yeah.
there and call each other marks. It's not, they're all part of the show. They're cheering and doing this. Then you get on the internet, and I understand a lot of people are like, okay, well, that's how the internet is all the time. But you got to figure, all of us had times when we watched wrestling, for fuck's sake. So everyone had people who didn't watch wrestling will say, oh, you know it's fake, right? Oh, you know it's good, right? Oh, they'll make fun of you because you watch it. We get that. We get made fun of because we watch wrestling of something that we enjoy. But
Right.
then to get it from the people that enjoy the same shit,
I know.
you're like, why? Why would you sit there? Can you just not like what you want to like?
It's insane. And there's so much to unpack there, but I do want to tell a quick story because based on what you just said, how like a lot of times you go to a live show and it feels like you're part of a community, you know.
Yes.
There's a lot of love, I think. And I'll never forget going to a show, local show in a gymnasium, APW, which used to be based in Hayward, and now I don't know if it's in San Francisco or Daly City, but anyway, the show was in Daly City, just south of San Francisco. And it was a relatively early show, and there was a band I wanted to see that's playing the same night. I happen to have some friends working the show, so I got the information what time the band is going on, and they were going to let me in, and so I was going to go right from one to the other. So I went to the wrestling show in Daly City, and it was great. And everybody there was super nice and polite. Like, it's bleachers, right? You're in a gymnasium. There's no assigned seats. Everybody was very polite. If somebody had to get up to go to the bathroom, everybody moved out of their way. When they came back, they moved out of their way again. And even just getting in and out of the parking lot was like so easy because everybody was polite. Everybody drove the way you're supposed to drive. One person let the next person go, and it was quick and easy. It wasn't like getting out of like a sporting event where everybody is just like every man for themselves, just all go at the same time and try to jam your cars in the same narrow exit. It was unbelievably just polite, and everybody there was nice, and it was such a breath of fresh air from just usual life in the city. Just getting on the bus or walking down the sidewalk where people are rude and don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. Here, it felt like we're all in the same boat, and we knew that, and we all had that respect for each other. Get in the car, drive to San Francisco, rush my ass off to a venue called The Chapel to see Exodus. Now, I'm an old fan of punk and metal and all that stuff, and I go to those shows and I feel like these are my people. I got to that show and what a bunch of obnoxious dickheads. and they weren't any worse than usual. It was something I'm used to. Like, it wasn't even like they were that bad, but having that immediate comparison, like literally it was like 15 minutes between one show and the next, and it was such a drastic difference. And this is like 5 or 6 years ago. An insignificant thing in my life, but I never forgot it because it really made me appreciate the wrestling fans more, having that contrast, having the juxtaposition of going right from a wrestling show to a thrash metal show and seeing just how much more polite and respectful the people were at the wrestling show.
Yeah. But then when you go home and you start looking online, then you see nothing but hate and nothing, all these things. And you're like, what just happened here? Like, what just happened here?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I know it's every genre, everything, every movies, music, this and that. You have all the internet hate, but it just seems.
Well, that's part of it.
It's part of it, but it's just dumbfounded to me when you're like, I feel like people, especially in this day and age, they get upset when you don't agree on their opinion. Like, I have wrestlers I don't like. I don't mind. I'm not going to disrespect someone because they like them. Fine. If you like them, who am I to kill your joy? You know, we might pick apart things here and there when we talk on the podcast about like what they could do with booking. And we do say things of people we don't like. But if someone sits there and says, oh my God, I love this guy, whatever, do you? Like, who am I to sit there and say, well, you're wrong for liking this guy and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just some schmuck talking to another schmuck about wrestling.
Hey,
So, you know, so it just
I'm not a
makes me,
schmuck, I'm a putz.
so it makes me insane to see how, and I get that with everything, with like rap or rock or anything I listen to. And everyone's like, when they sit there and degrade shit, and you're like, I could probably do the same for all your shit. Why though? What's the point of
No.
it? I don't know the point.
it's just talking in circles. And
There's-
I mean, you
there's a-
said you made the point that like every type of entertainment is going to have that on the internet. So part of it is just the internet, right?
Yes.
Um,
But we already
Which-
get enough, though. This is what I mean, though. Is we are like wrestling fans already get enough of people who don't watch wrestling
yeah.
that kind of bullshit. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you
Yeah.
finally talk to people, there's a difference between friendly debates. No, I kind of like these people and give you reasons why. But then also when you start doing the whole Mark and this and that and whatever, you're like, you go right to that. You're like, it's just like, are we like 10? Like, are we back to 10 years old? We're grown adults sitting there.
That's
oh,
what it
you
feels
fucking
like.
Mark. Oh, you don't know this. You know, I'm like, no. I was like, just have a debate then. Have a friendly debate of saying why. Give
Well,
facts.
I think part of the problem is, I mean, okay, you and me, how much do we post and comment on wrestling articles on social media? I don't at
Nothing.
all. Do you?
I don't at all.
No.
I don't at all.
And what is that? I mean, I think that's the perfect example. Like the people who are commenting are the people who are like that. We don't have a need to like blow
No,
off
we have some good
steam.
people. We have some good people that's commenting on our shit. But I'm just saying
We have good people, of course, and a lot of the times if you read the comments on an article, if there's 20 comments, you're gonna have like 5 reasonable people.
yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I think the people who do the most commenting are the people who are just the most obnoxious, because it's just, I don't know, I mean, it lends itself to that behavior, right? And it's like, again, if you took everything that was on Twitter and Facebook and whatever else as like reality, and then you went to a wrestling show, you would have a total cognitive dissonance, like short circuit, because it would be
It's-
a completely different experience.
Different experience. Way different experience.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not true
everyone's
to
strong.
life.
Everyone has a voice on the internet, even if they can't say, like, if I'm face to face with someone, half the times they can't say shit to me face to face. But then all of a sudden, when you get behind a screen, you can say whatever you want to these people, because you don't, one, you're not going to see them. You don't care. You're not going to. So they have they're like 10 feet tall when they're talking, really.
Yeah, that's part of it. But it's also just like, without even putting it in a pejorative context, it's just like in polite society, you just don't act like that in general. I don't go up to somebody and just like, if I'm walking through the halls at a wrestling show and I see somebody wearing a t-shirt of a wrestler I think sucks, I'm not going to go up to them and say like, yo, dude, that sucks, you stupid Mark. And that has nothing to do with like bravery or being behind a computer. If it's like somebody half my size, I'm still not going to say it, because you just don't fucking act like that.
And
in
you know what
real
you're gonna
life.
say though, and because I had this many times, you get excited. I'm sure you do too. I get excited when I see someone wearing a wrestling shirt, even if it's someone I don't like. Oh,
Yeah.
cool! You watch wrestling. You actually start
Yeah.
talking about wrestling because you actually know someone else watches it.
Yeah.
So it's not like saying, "Oh, you fucking Mark." But if someone had a Wardlow shirt, I'm like, "Oh my god, fuck you!" Blah, blah, blah. No, I'm like, "Oh, cool. You watch AEW, and you start conversing."
Yeah.
I don't sit there and say, "Oh, he sucks," and "Oh, I don't like him," and "Why are you like?" So it's totally different in real life. It's totally different.
I've had so many great interactions with people just randomly. Like I remember wearing a New Japan shirt when I was working at one of the music venues, and I don't know why I had a New Japan shirt on. I should have had my staff shirt on, but somebody said, so I might have been before like the shift started, and somebody said something, and then we had this whole conversation about whatever was happening in New Japan at the time. Remember walking down the street in San Francisco with a Young Bucks shirt on, and and this is a few years ago when they were still Bullet Club, and I just hear coming out of a store or a bar, I don't know where it came from, but I just heard somebody yell, "Too sweet."
Yeah.
So I'm walking down like, who the hell said that?
And that's what I'm saying. Like every time I wear my wrestling shirts too, that's what I enjoy, because it's almost like you have this bond, because you can't talk about wrestling with everyone. So when you wear a wrestling shirt, you just get excited. You're like, oh, cool. You just like to know and learn and this and that or whatever. And yes, in the conversations, you'll find out who they like, who they don't, but never in my life would sit there and be like, you like that motherfucker? Oh my God, I can't talk to you. You are fucking, you think you know everything. And like, no, just discuss it like you would in face to face. It just doesn't make any sense to me when you go online and you're like, I can't believe, like, I don't necessarily like Jade, but I can see why people would, with certain degree. I could see why. Going back to the original first sentence that you said, and then we went on our tangent, is
Jade.
that Jade is that I could see why people like Jade. I could see why who she represents with people. I could see why they enjoy how she is or whatever. Even if I don't like her, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's bad for the business and this and that or whatever. If you like her, that's fucking fine. I'm not going to sit there and say you're wrong because you like her. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's that whole, like, people's opinions. For some reason, they take in opinions now as, just because you don't like mine, I'm going to degrade you now and make you feel like shit for no reason.
Yeah. And then, and even if you have a nuanced opinion, somebody's still going to jump on you, right? I think most people who are not fans of like Jade Cargill right now, and you and I are in this camp, I think nobody's like, this girl sucks, she shouldn't be on TV, get rid of her. I think it's like, you know what? She's got some talent and she's got a lot of potential, but they pushed her too soon into a championship role and made her too prominent over people who were like maybe should have been more prominent right now.
Yeah.
In 2 years, Jade might be, you know, a little bit more ready for that role. And you can't say that because then somebody's going to jump down your throat like, fuck you, you don't know what you're talking about. Jade's the best. All those other women suck. They have to push her because they all suck. Like,
yeah,
I just
you can't have conversations for the most part. I notice just of strangers online. If it was face to face, it's a whole new ball game. But online, it always gets into a debate, and it's I guess if people like that, that's fine. But I just don't see why you have to, like. It always goes down to hatred, and it always goes down to like name calling, and just like it comes down to the whole pulling your hair and freaking like, you know, you asshole. Like, it just reminds me of like 10th grade shit. You're like, okay, we all like the same shit though. You know, we're all still part of a culture that we all listen. Because if you obviously didn't watch this, then why are you commenting? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so we started this podcast. Yes, we do a lot of venting. And I want to say one thing. We do a lot of venting in this podcast because we know that AEW could do much better because we've seen it do better in the first 2 years. So we got frustrated. So we started a podcast of just because of our frustration, thinking that what are they doing? We know you can do better. But obviously, but we're not sitting there saying anything bad about the fucking wrestling industry. We're not saying anything bad about AEW because we obviously watch it every fucking week. We still come back. And same thing like all these people that complain about all these people. Oh, WWE is doing this. Well, AEW is that. Then why are you commenting, first of all, on shit and you're still watching it regardless?
Yeah.
You know, if you know all these people, then you're obviously watching it. So it just seems weird. It's just, and I think everyone needs to do better.
And you've always said, like, because, you know, you're not a fan of Joe. We're not going to say Joe who. It could be any Joe. Pick a Joe in your life.
Yes.
Richie doesn't like him. Go to your Joe and say, listen, my friend Richie, he doesn't like you. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
No, but you're not a big fan of Samoa Joe. But you said multiple times on multiple episodes, like, I'm not a big fan of Joe. I don't get it. But he's over. People like him. So whatever.
I said that multiple times. Yeah. Because I get it, the crowd likes him, whatever. So who am I to sit there and say these people are wrong? And who am I to say that Khan is doing it wrong? Because if the crowd loves him, then obviously they're still cheering. So fuck it. It's just something I don't like, but whatever.
Yeah.
But people don't do that. They'll just sit there and like start bitching and say, I can't believe this and that. And there's got to be some kind of more community feeling from the live audience because again, I said it before, we deal with enough shit with people who don't watch wrestling saying different shit. Yeah.
I mean, you know, again, part of it's just the nature of online. A lot of it is just like people act a way they wouldn't act in polite society when they're with people face to face. Probably a lot of it is like people who are just not well socialized. You know, they have a place where they can just spout shit off. And they don't have any exercise, for lack of a better word, of interacting with people. So they just
I disagree with that. The only reason why I disagree with that is because you have people who are two different people when they're face to face, and when they all of a sudden when they go, I seen it with my own eyes. So I think
Okay.
it's just like I think for some reason that people just think that they are allowed to get away with anything, or they just start fights because it's more entertaining, maybe, or whatever. But I can't imagine any of them doing it face to face with people ever.
No.
Like, I can't. I never see that in my life. Where like if I wore any shirt or you wore a shirt or whatever, I can never see people talking the same way they do to wrestling fans face to face like they do online.
I have a theory that the same principle applies to people driving,
Yes.
because like you're not face to face with somebody. The some of the obnoxious shit that people do when they're driving, shoving their car like in, like I said, when you're trying to get out of a sporting event, like nobody would just shove into a person. But when you're in a car, you're kind of almost faceless. You're like, you're in your own little orb, and everybody's in their own little orbs, and they don't have these interactions. So like, it's why driving can be so frustrating, because people act the way they never would face to face with people.
My last statement, I feel that could
Ever.
help.
Last statement ever. It's the end of the podcast.
No, just this podcast itself. My last statement that I feel could help everyone out is if they were more like Eddie Kingston.
Oh.
Exodus!